we have been celebrating, and we are celebrating, the tremendous news of the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. It's what we've been singing about, it's what we've been praying about, it's what the boys and girls from Sunday Club have been helping us to remember, and it's the reason why we're here. This is good news, and indeed it is more than that. It is the best of news. There is no greater news than this in the entire creation, that Jesus Christ, born in Bethlehem, raised in Nazareth, crucified in Jerusalem, has broken the stranglehold of sin on humanity. And that as a result of his resurrection, he comes to welcome us, to greet us, and to call us to faith in himself. Now, the world in which we live in, because of that tremendous day in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago when he was raised from the dead, now the world in which we live in is no longer hopeless about the destructive power of sin. I wonder this morning, as you perhaps have listened to the news or read the news or watched the news or whatever, we live in a troubled world, don't we? More than 100 people murdered yesterday, Syrian refugees, by a car bomb, or the day before yesterday. The threat of nuclear war, North Korea, the unstable condition of our nation at the moment. We live in a troubled world. And yet the news of Jesus Christ's resurrection is that he has broken the power that is always behind our troubled world. Now the reality is, sin will no longer have the last word over us as human beings. And death has been overwhelmed by the power of God's love in the cross. Jesus Christ, who took our sin on Calvary, who was dead in the tomb, lives. That's the reality. That's the Christian hope. And that's the Christian confidence. And it means for you this morning that there is no situation that you may be in that is too terrible for the power of God to work in. It means this morning that there's no person here who is too broken, too damaged, too hard, too indifferent, too disturbed for Jesus Christ to transform. Nothing is now impossible for God to change. Jesus Christ, who was crucified, who died and was buried, is now alive. And he is alive today, and he lives forever. This news is the critical foundation of the Christian gospel. The Apostle Paul, writing in 1 Corinthians 15, says, if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is your faith. But then he goes on to say, but Christ has been indeed raised from the dead. What you believe as a Christian, along with 2.2 billion other people in the world today and are celebrating today, is not something vain. It is not something weak. It is not something powerless. Instead, it is something true and life-transforming. Today is a day for celebration. Death of death and hell's destruction. Jesus Christ is alive. I came across these words last year. I think I read them to you last Easter. I'm going to read them again because they are so helpful. They're words written by a contemporary theologian. Easter week should be an 8-day festival with champagne served after morning prayer, or even before, with lots of alleluias and extra hymns and spectacular anthems. Is it any wonder people find it hard to believe in the resurrection of Jesus if we don't throw our hats in the air? Is it any wonder we find it hard to live the resurrection if we don't do it exuberantly in our liturgies? Is it any wonder the world doesn't take much notice of Easter if it's celebrated simply as one day happy ending tacked on to 40 days of fasting and gloom? It's long overdue that we took a hard look at how we keep Easter in church, at home, in our personal lives, right through the system, And if it means rethinking some cherished habits, well, maybe it's time to wake up. I think that's tremendously helpful, isn't it? It's the reminder that this news of Jesus Christ alive, risen from the dead, is news that is to grip our hearts, change our lives, and is to be celebrated to the full as Christians. It's a reminder for you this morning if you're here and you're perhaps not sure about Christianity and you're thinking about it, you've got questions, maybe you're confused by the whole thing. This alone should remind you that at the heart of Christianity is something tremendous, something wonderful, something glorious, and you absolutely need a part of this. Well, there are many ways in which we celebrate Easter, and of course one of those ways is chocolate. That's okay. Chocolate is okay in small doses. And boys and girls, perhaps here this morning, I want to ask you a question. I know I asked you this the other day, but it was just you and me, so it might be nice for the congregation to hear the answer to this. What's your favorite Easter egg? Have a think. Your very favorite Easter egg. Yes? Chocolate orange. They do Easter eggs. I didn't know that. Wow, that's a great choice. I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there who like chocolate orange Easter eggs if they can have one. Yes? What's your favorite? Cream egg Easter egg. It wouldn't be the same without a cream egg, would it? That's right. Okay, married? Lindor. Very good. I think there's a lot, judging by that noise, I think there's a lot of people who agree with you there. Yes, Prussel. Flake. Only the crumbliest, tastiest chocolate. Tastes like chocolate, never tasted before. Yes, Flake. Yeah, what's your favorite? Have you? Freddy Faces. That sounds tremendous. Anyone? Yeah, have you got a favorite Easter egg? Yeah. Chocolate buttons. Marvelous. Well, I think pretty well everyone likes chocolate. And I tell you what, I brought you along this morning. I couldn't find an Easter egg with this, but I like these. I don't know if you like these. Do you like heroes? Yeah? Yeah? Does anyone not like heroes? No, you all like heroes. Because you get them all in here, don't you? You get something called Twisted, Twirl, Caramel, Dairy Milk, Whisper, Fudge, and Eclair. So if you can't make your mind up about which one you like, Heroes is the place to go. Yeah, what is a hero? Yeah. Someone who saves people, rescue people. Yeah, yeah. That's a really good answer. Anyone want to add anything to that about what is a hero? No? Yeah? Someone has powers. That's right. That's a really good answer as well, isn't it? Somebody, I don't know if you're allowed to eat these in the services. Is that all right? Yeah. Are there any dietary restrictions? Adults, raise your hands now. No, there we are. Do you want one? Do you like Twisted? Is that okay? I'll tell you what, better off. Take one and pass them round, okay? As long as you keep listening to me, all right? Because I need your help. Now, there are lots of heroes, aren't there? You see them on TV, in cartoons and in films. Who's your favourite hero? Who's your favourite superhero? Yeah? Wonder Woman. Right, great. Excellent, yes. Anybody else got a favourite superhero? Come on, I'm relying on you. Got a favourite superhero? Is it just Wonder Woman? Boys, you really like Wonder Woman as well? No? I think the chocolate's proving a bit of a distraction. Yes, there we are. Okay, if you could be a superhero, who would you be? Come on, the whole congregation's hanging on your every word right now. Who? Spider-Man, yeah. So what can Wonder Woman do? Now that sounds like a fantastic thing, isn't it? She lassos people, and when she does, they have to tell her the truth. Wouldn't one of those be fun? Yes. And what about Spider-Man? What does Spider-Man do? Go on, Prussell, what does Spider-Man do? Does whatever... Thank you very much. So that's quite a lot of things, isn't it? Spins a web, climbs up high. Yeah. Yes? Poison ivy. What does poison ivy do? What superpowers? Oh, right. Dear me, that sounds rather scary. Anyway, there are lots and lots of superheroes, aren't they? And these superheroes are very exciting, aren't they? They're stories. They're not real. They're just stories. But the reality is, in life, isn't it? Even when we're a little bit older, the concept of a hero is appealing. I mean, maybe this morning it's not the newer ones like Poison Ivy, but it's some of the older ones like Dan Dare and Tarzan when you were growing up. But we all like to look up to someone who was bigger and better than ourselves. And why do we do that? Well, I think the answer is there's a kind of resonance within us because we realize that wouldn't it be great if there was someone like this? Because the reality is life is too big for us. And let's face it, this morning in life, for all of us, there is too much worry, too much trouble, too much uncertainty, too much shame, too much suffering, and too many problems. And the world in which we live and are part of this morning as human beings, whether we're really young this morning or whether we're a lot older, is a world in which for hundreds and thousands of years, politicians, philosophers, wise people have all been trying to sort it out. But the reality is, today, in the world in which we live, is very much like the world in which Jesus was living. A world in which there's war and suffering, injustice, corruption, and indifference to those who are in need. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, no one has been able to break the cycle of what we call human nature. We can't sort this out. I can't sort out the problem of my own human nature, and you can't sort out yours. But as we gather here this morning, we acknowledge together that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. And that means there is hope in our world, and there is power in our world, and there is someone alive today who is bigger and better than we are. And the other thing about a hero is that we need somebody to meet our needs. If you're in trouble, you need somebody who can come and comfort you and support you. When you're in trouble, you need somebody who is greater and bigger than our troubles. You need somebody to be with you, someone who's secure, someone who's strong, someone who won't cave in under the pressure or leave us, someone who won't be overwhelmed or just worn out by the cry of our hearts. Now, as much as we try and do this with one another, we can never be this to each other. But as we meet here this morning, we meet to acknowledge that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. There is now someone in our world who is able to meet our needs. He is able to meet the need of a broken heart, a discouraged heart, a troubled conscience, fear about the future, all of these things that are generated in us by the power of sin. Now there is someone greater than this, Jesus Christ, who is risen from the dead. And of course, we always need someone we can trust. It's the great thing about a superhero is you can trust them. But we need in life someone we can trust, someone we can rely on, someone who will never let us down or break their promises towards us, someone who understands us. Maybe you're here this morning, you say, if only there was somebody who really understood me. And maybe you might find yourself saying, if only there was someone who would love me, no matter what. And of course the reality is no one can do this. No one can be this to me or to you perfectly. But Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. There is hope this morning, for there is someone who we can trust. Someone who is greater than our troubles, who's broken the power of our troubles. Someone who is bigger and better than us. the hero we need is not a storybook hero or a hero on a DVD, but he is the hero in the pages of the Bible. The hero is Jesus Christ, and he is risen from the dead. And so this morning we proclaim with joy that Jesus Christ is alive. He is real. He comes to us. He calls to us. He's broken the power of sin, death, and hell. And here he is, alive. And he says to us, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And if we come to him, we receive from him eternal life in the forgiveness of our sins and the giving to us of a new nature and a new heart. I wonder this morning what this news of Jesus Christ risen from the dead means to you. It should mean what the Bible tells us it means. That here now in our world, there is one who understands us better than we understand ourselves, and one who has the unique power to change us, to forgive us, to renew us, and to set us free. And it really is true this morning that he says to you and to me, "Come to me. Come to me." It's an amazing thing, isn't it? He doesn't say, "Admire me." He doesn't even just say, "Understand me." But he says, "Come to me. I'll receive you." That invitation is genuine. And so this morning, if you've been holding Christ at a distance, perhaps here now, right now in this place, this is the time when you come to him. He is alive. The evidence is overwhelming. And more than that, it is life transforming. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Will you receive that rest today from Jesus Christ? Will you receive that new life? Then come to Christ today. Trust him. Put your soul, your life into his hands. He is risen from the dead. We're going to sing to